A friend of FM 100.3 KFAN and the Power Trip Morning Show, a long-standing friend, John Kriesel, had a tweet that I saw before we cracked the airwaves that kind of personifies the emotion of 9 to noon this time of the year, where he's like, it's really cool to have your favorite teams playing every other night, and that cadence continues this evening. But what's even cooler is when your favorite teams are low-key facing postseason obscurity, and their names begin with W's, Wild and Wolves, and they're taking L's and they turn them into W's. Now that's really cool, Mr. Salmon Shorts. Good morning.
Good morning. The Game 3 and just the turnaround, the energy, there's a block party. They're closing off West 7th and Kellogg into that game on Saturday night. And given the way that the first two had started and the first two had transpired, if they didn't find something early, it was going to be an incredibly long night in St. Paul. You chose that highlight from Kaprizov, and, count me as one of the people during the Dallas series that I'm thinking to myself, man, I need more out of 97. Man, I need more out of some of these guys, and we'll continue this conversation later, but just loved what I saw from the hockey team on Saturday.
Indeed, because Minnesota Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch has joined the 9 to noon equation, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and Prize Picks, and we were talking about those shining stars. There were several on display last evening at Target Center. That thing is 2-2 with Game 5 tomorrow night. Chris, congratulations on the victory. Anthony mostly, specifically in the fourth quarter, in my estimation, gave you one of those immortality-like fourth quarters, didn't he? And good morning.
Hey, good morning, Pete. Yeah, he sure did. You could see, as the game was going on, certainly in the second half, he was sharpening his focus. He was ready to get to the mindset to take that thing over, which, quite honestly, he hadn't been able to do physically for quite some time. But really, I think it was more of just the momentum that he was able to build in Game 3 when he kind of could get to some of the things that he's always been able to do, and they kind of came back to him. So gave him the confidence that he could, really go to it at any point in time, which was, was fun to watch and much needed by us.
Hey, Chris, with Victor Wembanyama, what do the past performances look like with Wemby and the elbow ejection? Do you expect Victor to miss at least a game, like Game 5, or what do you think of it?
No, I honestly wouldn't expect to see any further suspensions. I don't think there's much of a precedent for that. Obviously, I'm not sure the league would want to disadvantage anybody in that way as well. So generally, I think the league adjudicates on these things pretty quickly, and I fully expect to see Wemby in Game 6.
This or
Game 5 rather. Sorry.
Game 5, but maybe he does it again in Game 5, and then he gets eliminated from Game 6 and 7. Who knows? This is low key in that situation. Now, granted, it's born of maturity, which is to be expected, but your guys kept their cool. I mean, that did not have to be the case, and especially as physical as this series is. That was a key because a melee could have ensued, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, very proud of them. Very proud of them all. Oftentimes when that happens, there is at least one retaliatory action. There wasn't even that for us, and that usually results in the double technical call by the officials, and everybody moves on. But very proud of our guys for that. Just kind of taking their licks figuratively and literally, and moving on.
I'm and for many reasons, myself and many fans are happy that a fracas did not break out, because think about it, man, that would have been a long run for Finchy on that still recovering knee. It was on the other side of the court. When stuff like that,
I stay out of those now. If you've watched,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is when stuff like that breaks out, and we've seen it, a fair amount. How does the discernment choose when you jump into the fracas or when you stay away?
Well, I mean, now the players are not allowed to leave the bench. That's an automatic ejection suspension and could carry further suspensions in subsequent games. So it's really on the officials, but more than that, it's on the coaches and then security to get out there to try to separate people. I learned, I know my limitations. I'm not sure how much stability I still have in the leg.
When Wemby left, were you like, all righty, boys, the rim's open, so bust through that saloon passage?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we didn't really. I think everybody recognized that. We're a team that likes to live at the rim anyway, or generate our offense from the inside out. So, but I tried to just maintain business as usual. I didn't want to make too much of a big deal of it either way. I do feel like I think it changed. I think there was a natural relaxation period, but more guys like just figuring, okay, like this is going to be a little easier, but it wasn't. And I think we had to kind of regroup. And once we did that and settle into like a new rhythm of the game, like not just on offense, but more so defensively. The way they were going to play was going to change a little bit. And they played and won many games without him this season. So it's not like they're a one-man band in any respect.
Right, but I mean, and I'm going to ask you a question a little later about Wemby being transcendent, but he is. I mean, in so many ways, he's a transcendent player, and certainly at the center spot. But when he does leave, it becomes racehorse basketball, doesn't it? I mean, those kids just want to run up and down the court without Wemby.
Yeah, they do. They do a good job of running up and down the court with him. But they realized one of their big adjustments after game one was really to pick up the pace, and try to push at every opportunity. And they've done a great job of that, and they've gotten a lot of baskets right back at us after we've scored baskets. So our defense in transition has to be better and has to be on point every single time. It's a team full of penetrators, guys who like to put their shoulder down and get to the hoop. And if you're not in position to be able to stand that up and take that hit and reroute them, they're going to live at the rim. And that's what they started doing in the third quarter on us, and got to things quickly before we could really get set.
Chris, the mind and the body. First, the mind. Do you find this to be a very cerebral series? I mean, Game 1, second half, you made some offensive adjustments they couldn't catch up to. Game 2, they go to trapping in a different way, and that's continued through games 3 and 4. It just seems like this, you guys have a very smart staff. This just seems like it's a cerebral series. Do you agree?
Well, I would definitely agree. We have an outstanding staff who's thinks their way through each and every game plan. When you get to the when you're going through 82 games, PA, you try to maintain an identity and play to that identity every single night, and I think that's important in the playoffs as well. But there's so many moving parts in the playoffs. You have to kind of be able to win the game different ways. Like, perfect example, the Denver series was a heavy pick and roll series. Pick and roll, as much pick and roll as we could possibly put Jokic in, we wanted to do. This is a series with their bigs, particularly Wembanyama. They're outstanding in pick and roll. Like, you're not really that's not where you're gonna make the most advantage for your team. So you have to kind of figure out like other ways to score, whether it be off ball or drive and kick or change the way that you space the floor. These are, kind of subtle things that you need to do, and it might change how you kind of are used to playing. With Rudy in particular, you're a heavy pick and roll team. That's just kind of like what he does best, and it's what he's allowed. It's what he's, the gravity that he gives your team is elite. But we got to minimize some pick and roll to do other things. So that's the real kind of shift. Like, and it might happen series to series, of course, like I'm talking about, but it also has to evolve, and then your team has to find a comfort level with a new rhythm and new style of play as you move from game to game within a series.
Okay, well, to the physical part, to the body, can it be argued this is absolutely the most physical series that you guys have had in your 5 years of coaching playoff teams here?
Yeah, I definitely can make that argument for sure. I thought, Memphis series, our first playoff series, 5 years ago was pretty physical, but this is up there too. I mean, they got physical Smalls. We're a physical team, and the OKC series tend to be pretty physical as well. But no doubt about it, I think this is just right up there.
Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, 9 to noon. Thank you, Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org. Chris is a board member for said organization. Give it a look if you're so inclined. And we thank Prize Picks also for season-long sponsorship. Is it fair to say that that some work needs to be done to get through the half-court ant trap? I mean, they're trapping at the half court, specifically with Edwards, where you're either having to burn a timeout or take a backcourt.
Yeah, we gotta be a little better there. We know what we're trying to do. I think when we've executed what the plan of attack is, we've gotten a lot of really good looks, scored some easy baskets, and we're gonna have to be better there. Just we know it's coming. I think it's how you invite it and how you accept it. It's just, it's like being blitzed as a quarterback. You know where it's coming from. You know where your hot reads should be.
Right.
We just got to be in those spots. And I think we've been inconsistent in being in the right places at the right time.
So when Victor leaves in Game 4, when star players depart, like via ejection, the others on their team, I've noticed, can become empowered, right? And conversely, did you guys have to guard against? All right, well, we can't lose this one now. Human nature, know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was definitely some of that. You could feel that kind of anxiety in the building at times, especially when we went down by 8 points in the third. You could feel like, we're blowing a great chance here. But obviously Wembanyama makes them a much better team. We talked about their success without him already. But you have to try to kind of depersonalize these things. Like, this isn't a series of Ant versus Wemby or Rudy versus Wemby. Or it's a series of the Wolves versus the Spurs. And that's what it's always going to be. There are obviously great star players here. There's great storylines in the series, but we've got to maintain, this is, what we're trying to do versus what they're trying to do. And it's not just one single person. So,
right.
At this point in time, these teams are good enough, they're deep enough, they're flexible enough to adjust to some level to be ultra competitive no matter who they have on the floor. We saw that. We lived that. Game 6 against Denver. No one gave us a chance to win that game. And guys stepped up and had, memorable career nights.
I don't know if at this level you work on charge drills, like back in high school or college or whatever, where somebody runs down the court, you sprint with them, you get to the block, and you take the charge. It's a very uncomfortable drill. But if you did, it's clear Terrence Shannon Jr. has paid attention to the charge drill, wouldn't you say?
He has. It's the biggest thing that he's done this season, which I'm really happy and excited about, which sets him up greatly going forward, is he's improved his defense. And, whether it's been reducing his fouling, choosing better routes when he's chasing off the ball, containing on the ball, and now, he's added this, taking charges, which is not just a sacrificial thing, but also an anticipatory skill. And it's a weapon. It can be a real weapon. It's another way to protect the rim. And that, his offense is going to always be there. Sometimes it's going to come and go. But if his defense can continue to improve, he has all the tools to be an outstanding defender. And, he had some really timely ones for us this series.
Last two here, Coach. Thanks for the time, and best of luck tomorrow night, too. This may not be the time to talk about this, but I've been thinking about it a lot, man, because, you you and I have followed, we're about the same age, and we followed the league for a long time. Now, neither one of us were, like going to Philadelphia Warriors games to watch Wilt Chamberlain, but I mean, both of us are very familiar with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And is Wemby the first transcendent center since Kareem and Wilt? And what I mean is Kareem had that unstoppable sky hook. Then you had Wilt's size, and he played against a bunch of Bob Cousy's. And just watching Wemby as closely as I have, you know a lot more about it than all of us. It's what he takes away in the mid-range game, by the rim, the lobs if you play it the wrong way. He is really the first transcendent center in multiple decades. Would you agree?
No doubt about it. I mean, the comparison that I use is, or the analogy I use is he changes the geometry on the floor. In the same way that Steph Curry did it offensively, he's doing it defensively. Taking nothing away from Wemby's offense. He's an extremely gifted offensive player, can shoot threes, can score, can handle. At his size, we've never seen that to the level that he can do it, the fluidity at which he does it. Although Kristaps Porzingis can do a lot of those similar things.
Right.
But Wemby defensively is just another being. He, to your point, like, people think, okay, I can't attack the rim because he's so long there and he's outstanding, so I'll settle in the mid-range. Well, what he does is he can cover that shot, too, from being in the hole and coming out and getting a great contest. They do a really good job, obviously, of building their defense around him. He's kind of everywhere you go, he seems to be there. And there's always defenders, so you can put him in situations where they have weaknesses. He seems to have a weakness defensively, whether he's on the ball or off the ball, or in help situations. He's even able to get out and rotate. He covers ground from behind. He just does so many things. He can play in pretty much any pick and roll coverage that you want to put him in. And I've never seen it. And a lot of these big defensive shot blocker, rim protector types, the single biggest thing they do is deterrence, so like you just don't go. So if you're not going, you're not playing aggressive basketball. If you're on your heels all the time, you're not going to be very good. He certainly has that element. And many times when you play him, like if you rock up to San Antonio on a Thursday night and you play him and you kind of just have this hesitancy. We just pounded into our guys like, we can't have that. We'll never give ourselves a chance to score if we're not taking him on. He's going to get some blocks. He's going to do some things, but we've got to play the basketball style. We just got to make better reads when we get near him. Sometimes it's going to be the rim. Sometimes it's going to be the pass. Sometimes it might be a kick out. Sometimes it might be just dribble out and reset. But we got to continue to be aggressive around him. But he just changes everything when he's on the floor, and it's like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a fantastic answer, and we'll see what transpires with him tomorrow night. But the word transcendent is just so overused, but we are witnessing that now for the first time in coming up on a half century. Okay, last one. San Antonio assistant Corliss Williamson was with you guys for years. Does his knowledge of any form of scheme you offer factor into making anything difficult?
I'm sure it does. He knows our team so well. I wouldn't know what he is saying, but I can imagine. He is very familiar with our system and hasn't changed a whole ton. I think he's very familiar with having worked one-on-one with Julius. I'm sure he's been a large reason why they're paying so much attention to Julius, and feel like they can get him out of his spots or cover him up when they need to. But yeah, anytime you have kind of corporate knowledge, you're going to put it to test.
You're awesome, Coach. Safe travels, and we'll catch up later. Okay.
All right, appreciate you, PA. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, sir. No problem. Chris Finch, head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Thanks to Second Harvest Heartland, 2harvest.org, and Prize Picks. We are at Tria Rink in St. Paul. That's the 9 to noon show. And when we return, we are going to dust off Along the Boards with B, as in Tenna B, Brandon Molesky, and to spend some time with him unpacking the Minnesota Wild Game 3 victory and prepping you for game number 4. That's part of the Timber Tech What's on Deck set list. The radio show is produced on site by Nordo, young Max Fuller guides the Great Ship Love Covenant at FM 100.3 KFAN, and Nordo has some cash to give away.
Yeah, the Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a chance at some bonus bucks, national cash contest style. This hour's keyword is Bills. Enter the keyword Bills at KFAN.com for a chance to win. The keyword is Bills at KFAN.com.
It was a fun weekend on the Fan.
Now Ant takes the handoff, rises up, and gives the Wolves the lead.
Welcome back to Vox in the Box. We dust off an oldie, but always a goodie, momentarily, but first.
The Power Trip's taking over the island. Be at Treasure Island May 28th and 29th for 2 shows bursting with laughs, games, and incredible prizes, including trips to Vegas. Book your stay and save 20% with promo code KFAN+. A huge announcement you won't want to miss. Get the details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
His name is Brandon Molesky. He's an elite hockey mind. He's also the interim for the program, noon to 3, FM 100.3, KFAN. This is the first Along the Boards with B and Vox in the Box at Tria Rink, the first we've had since we did Vox in the Box back at XL Energy Center, waiting the adversary, the road team, to come out with the shoot the puck for the Bucks and stuff like that. And we welcome Tenna B into the equation now. Thanks for doing us a solid.
Of course, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Greatly appreciate you. If I become more consistent next year, consistent with showing up and not canceling, can I be in the program password invitational?
Do you want to be?
Well, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I love the game. Every time I'm there, I may not win, but I love the game.
Won.
Well, correct.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that plays into it.
No, that has nothing to do with that. We don't care whether you win or lose. In fact, it's a funny bit to have all the people that lose.
Right.
We care most about personality. And Common said it on the air. He's like, he loves having you on more than anybody for program password.
Yeah, I get shut out.
Yeah, and then we make fun of you. That's why do you think Muss is in the program password invitational?
I get shut out of the program password. I don't care about initials. People initials for show. I program password for dough. I legitimately enjoy it.
Okay.
But in fairness, a lot of the times you ask me during the football season, it lands right during the KO Friday.
You're the busiest person on the planet.
Well, not really. I'm not. I like people to think that. So let's continue that narrative. But
you're super busy and do great work and deserve all the.
I don't
money
have
coming
to
your
be
way.
at the Kevin O'Connell Friday press conference into the weekend game. I like to be at it simply because you get nuggets and stuff like that. So I haven't been able to play on a lot of Fridays. Then of late, some scheduling things haven't worked out. So I need to be, if I'm more consistent, and I show up when I'm asked to show up, win or lose, you're telling me that I can be in the 2027 program password invitation.
Would love to have you. I will say, and I think you've touched on it. My biggest priority for who gets into the program password invitational is 1, personality, which you bring a lot of. But 2 is I do need 16 dependable people because the scheduling is a cluster bleep.
I know. And I'm sitting on a slew of vacation
after the first
days.
round's over, now we got to reschedule. We got to find a time and a date that works for all 4 people. And then if you get to the gym, which I don't know if that's going to happen to you anyway.
Right.
You might be a one and done.
Very fair.
I'd love to have you next year.
Yeah, that'd be great. And you're right. I mean, I'm sitting on so many off days coming up here because of these playoff series extending that Abbott's not going to feel his other foot. So, that's coming up soon. So I understand that. And
it's going to be a Nordo summer, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that'd be great. Just please consider, okay? Because I really, really enjoy the game. Wild,
and after the invitational's over, we'd love to have you into play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wild worked its way back into the series with what I determined to be a very business-like victory in Game 3. How did you see it?
Yeah, the first 2 games were odd because the Wild just did not look like themselves. They weren't playing with the same identity. They weren't playing with the same personality. I do think, and it's easy to kind of excuse performances this way because you really never know unless you're in that locker room. I do think there was a Dallas hangover after that first series. I
think so too.
Even if you just talk to Wild fans, like they treated that like we'd won the Stanley Cup, right?
You say that to Heinze, he stares darts through your heart.
The amount of pressure that was put into winning a first-round series against a team of Dallas's ilk, so you had to put a lot into it. You couldn't coast through that series,
and you spent a month thinking about that opponent.
And by the way, the North Stars left to go to Dallas, so you had all that on top of each other. I do think there was a little bit of Dallas series hangover where they were on such a high, and they didn't have enough time to come down and then get back up. They just went down. And the first game where you lose 9-6, I know Colorado's explosive, but that was so out of character for the Wild. Then they make the weird goalie change, and Gus gives up 2 early first 2 shots of the game.
Hey.
Not that the Wild are all of a sudden going to win this series now, but the Wild can play with the Colorado Avalanche.
Right.
And Game 3 is the template. That's the blueprint, because that's the exact same way they played against Dallas. Is we are going to get in on the forecheck. We're going to pound your defensemen. Our defensemen are going to jump up in the play. We're going to slow you down in the neutral zone. Defensively, they didn't give up a ton of scoring chances to Colorado. I know Colorado had a decent amount of shots, but Volstead had to make a big save in the first, and he had some kind of like the last 10 minutes of the game. But other than that, they were all pretty routine saves that Volstead had to make, and that was the Wild's. That's the way they have to play moving forward, and I'm guessing you're going to see that again tonight.
I'm really glad you said that because there's a common thread 9 to noon, beginning with you, maybe through Micheletti. General manager for the Wild, Bill Guerin, joins an hour from now, and it's going to be presented different ways. But I don't think it's homerific to say, off exactly what you just said, the Wild may be hitting stride. It's like the 9-6 is an aberration, all right? And, things were better 5-on-5 in Game 2, but Game 3 was requisite of who they can be. They may be hitting stride in this series right now, right?
Well, after one-game performance, you could definitely say that. I at least feel like the focus to details was so much more prevalent in that game the other night. Now
that forechecking bit so big that you said, man.
Yeah, the Foligno brothers combined for 15 hits. Trenyon's going to hit when he's out there. McCarron's going to hit. Even Kaprizov's going in there and he's battling. Boldy's battling. You could see as that game went along the exact same thing that happened to Dallas. Dallas, for a good chunk of that series against us, their defensemen were so efficient getting the puck out of the zone. And as the series progressed, they started slowly turning the puck over more, They're anticipating getting hit, and then they're throwing the puck earlier than they want to do. And Colorado did a little bit of that as that game progressed in Game 3. Now, the Avalanche were due for a clunker as well. As great as the Wild played, I'm sure in Colorado they're going, well, that wasn't us.
Right.
And I have a feeling they're going to be re-engaged tonight because they coasted through the LA Kings. They kind of coasted through the first 2 games of the series. Now, after 2 games, the light switch went in with the Minnesota Wild. We got to get going.
There you go.
And now Colorado is going to go, all right, we better get going or they're going to come back in the series. So I think tonight, obviously, is a huge game with what's going to happen the rest of the series.
About 30 minutes ago, Nordo was all wound up over some Wild conversation. Then Finchy called us. What were you saying back then?
Well, to specifically with 97, there was a lot of kind of gnashing of teeth around Kirill's performance in the Dallas series. Meanwhile, you have Boldy with, 5-6 goals in that 6-game series. And it's like, man, I need more from 97. What does it mean not having Zuccarello with him, et cetera? And you can count me among some of those people that were just like, man, I'd like to see a little bit more from Kirill. We're talking about how he can create on his own or how he has to maybe take a step despite maybe roadblocks in his way. How wrong? I feel like I was looking at it the wrong way. And, whether it was him shoving it back down their throat after that first goal in Game 2, what he was doing the other night in Game 3, I think it was a 3-point effort, a couple of assists with that early goal. He's got 14 points in 9 games.
You're good when you have 14 points and people don't think you're playing your best.
And that's just where I was going. Like, when you needed it and Boldy stepping up, you talked kind of in summation of collective efforts just rising to the level Saturday in St. Paul, specifically with Kirill. I just feel like, and that's part of the money, right? That's part of the contract. But I think 97's been terrific, and I feel like I've been looking at it the wrong way as I was during the Dallas series.
Was Kirill Kaprizov playing his absolute best against Dallas? No. But he has set the bar so high that we have just maybe unrealistic expectations sometimes. He was good. in the Dallas series. He was good, and he's putting up points. We also have to recognize that hockey is a team game. Like in the NHL, you don't. It's not like the NBA where you can clear everyone to the side and go, all right, Anthony Edwards, you take this guy one-on-one, and we're all going to stand to the side. That's not the way the NHL works. Every once in a while, you'll see a Connor McDavid go coast to coast through 4 or 5 guys, but that just doesn't happen in the National Hockey League. And Kirill was playing without Mats Zuccarello for a good chunk of that Dallas series. Ryan Hartman's a fine player, but he ain't a first-line center. So he had to play with Bobby Brink for stretches in that series. When Zuccarello was in Game 1, Kaprizov put up 3 points. And now you've even seen a little bit in this series. Matt Boldy wasn't great the first 2 games against Colorado. Well, you didn't have Joel Eriksson Ek with them.
Right.
There's a drop-off, and I've liked the way Yurov's playing, but there's a drop-off from Joel Eriksson Ek to Danila Yurov. So when you are missing elite line mates, it's a lot easier to put a lot more attention on you, right? And for the Wolves, if you don't have Dante DiVincenzo sitting in the corner ready to just drain threes, well, now you can double team Anthony Edwards nonstop, and he can pass the ball to someone who can't hit a three, right? So it takes away some of your effectiveness. So Kaprizov's been good, but he was. The other night was the best he's played so far in the playoffs, and he was definitely more. It was just a battle level that he brought.
Okay, so to that point, amplify it a little bit. Did with your trained eye, did you see Kaprizov? Did it just come to him in Game 3, or did he take something from them? You see what I'm saying? Like, did the game come to him, and that was a Kaprizov game, or could you notice intent with taking things from Colorado he wasn't getting?
Well, with Kaprizov, even all season, I think there's been a lot of chatter about him, even though he's been putting up points. But I think people have been wanting more from him all season long. And I think it's just a stylistic thing. Kaprizov, we were used to for the first couple of years. We'd see him just skating circles in the offensive zone, controlling the puck. And like that element of his game really hasn't been there this year. Some of that showed up in Game 3. Where we saw him skating again. He's always been a guy that you set him up in that Ovechkin one-timer spot, and he can shoot as well as anybody and get those cross-ice passes from Zuccarello. He can battle in the corners. I thought his skating looked better, and I don't know if that's just a desperation, we're down 2 games, and I need to show up kind of thing.
What's the name of the bit he does? Where he almost...
They call those Mohawks, which I can't do because my hips cannot...
What's that mean?
Well, I mean, Nordo,
he skates so when
you skate with like your toes are both out like this, right, and you're kind of pushing.
Yeah.
So like people
pigeon-toed. Oh no, that'd be the other.
The opposite.
Yeah.
People in my generation of playing hockey, like we were not taught how to do that.
Wow.
So it's kind of hard for me as a coach now, coaching youth hockey, try to coach these Mohawks that I can't do because I never learned. But like. That's one of those things where now, like, every kid in the state of Minnesota is going to be learning how to do these Mohawks because he's been watching. Zucker did a little bit when he was here.
But what's the effectiveness?
Just you can move while also facing up. So, right, if I'm facing you right now, I can pass to Nordo.
I got it.
Now the defenseman has to respect me passing Nordo. Yet I'm still moving this way, so he's got to respect the pass while I'm also skating this way. You can fake shots out of that. You can fake passes.
He's faster than half the league while he's doing that, by the way.
Wow.
When he gets going, it's insane.
But, like, it's kind of fun. It's going to be fun to watch, like, hockey 15 years from now because every kid in the state of Minnesota is watching Kaprizov the last 5 years do Mohawks. They're all doing it. Like, my kid can do a Mohawk better than I can. And now with Quinn Hughes here, right? Like, young defensemen in the state of Minnesota and their ability to walk the blue line and, like, be patient. Like, they've been told so often, like, you're in a tough spot, dump the puck in the corner, and now you're going to be watching Quinn Hughes and go, well, you don't have to dump the puck in the corner there. You can actually hold on to it and learn to play with the puck and walk the blue line. Like, so the skills that our kids are now watching with this team, the talent we have, is going to be fun to see how they do moving on as they progress.
Along the boards with B from a Vox in the Box radio show, Wild Skate today at 10:30. And you can follow Brandon via X at Brandon Molesky, if you are so inclined, as 9 to noon does. And we'll chat more about Wild and Avalanche with B around the corner on KFAN.
This is 9 to noon on The Fan.
It's Vox in the Box. Wild in Colorado, Game 4 tonight, 7 o'clock. Joe O. and Tom Reed on the call with assistance from Zach Halverson and Kevin Fallness between periods. And we welcome you back to a Vox in the Box presentation. Outside of the Hockey Covenant for a second, how was Mother's Day for Lindsay?
Well, I'm sure Nordo can relate to this now as well. Mother's Day now is just you go to like activities, right? So Samson had a flag football game yesterday. Leo had a baseball practice. So yeah, did some gifts and nothing. I've reached the point now where like Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, Christmas, anniversary, birthday. Yeah. I'm out of ideas. I got nothing left. We're done.
Well, what's up, bucket list? Kevin Fallon is sauntering in. That's not a walk. That's a saunter.
It is indeed a saunter. Yeah, Mother's Day, I feel bad about it. Like I get my girls, okay, let's rally the troops here. The 11-year-olds are going to handle baby Hannah, so we got that. Check.
Nice.
Okay, perfect. And thankfully, it's kind of a little bit of a win for both of us. I love smoking food. She loves ribs. So
lucky.
I mean, part of Mother's Day, it's like take care of mama, but having a beer on the deck, smoking ribs. I mean, it was a pretty good Sunday for all involved.
I have found just merely the hey, having a good day. Hey, aren't you having a great day? Just constant reminders
yes,
that you're having a great day, aren't you? Constant reminders just help the time pass.
Oh, absolutely. This is the best Mother's Day ever, right?
Right?
This is a terrific
Am
Sunday.
I?
I've done everything.
The kids do that.
I've done everything right?
Am I doing a good job, right?
So with Game 3 on Saturday in St. Paul, loving everything that we saw, and I mean Faber in these playoffs, you can just say Faber.
He's a dog,
and it's unbelievable, right?
He's a dog.
Mm-hmm. So stupid question alert from the 9 to noon producer. The element of being at home affecting matchups, last change at Grand Casino Arena,
last change radio.
Is there any element? The reason I ask is just because the lack of physicality I saw, the lack of opportunity that I saw, maybe that's how we're playing. There are other factors. But Saturday night, everything changed on a freaking dime. I don't know if it's just that easy. You're at home. I just wonder if that played into it at all.
I think it's more stylistically the way they played, just more engaged. Obviously, I think the crowd was terrific. They were into it the entire time, and it helps when the Wild were playing great right out of the gate. And the first two games, the Wild were chasing games the entire time. They're giving up goals earlier, down 3-0 in game one, down early in game two, right in the first period.
Felt like 4-0.
Then Kaprizov scores, and then Colorado gets another one.
It was 2-1 with the Landeskog power play.
I think it wasn't.
When Colorado is leading, and then you can't slow them down. And then when you have to. When you're down a couple goals and now you have to play more aggressive and more offensive-minded, now you're going to have cracks defensively because you're being a little more, taking more risks, and now you're giving them more odd man rushes. So just, Colorado, other than kind of the one odd man rush in the first period, they didn't really have numbers. They weren't having 2-on-1s. They weren't having 3-on-2s, breakaways. We stayed out of the box for the most part. They just had the 3 penalties. Special teams obviously were better for the Wild. They had those 3 days off, I think, just to mentally and physically reset, but also to look at special teams a little bit and go, this needs to be fixed. And not that we've just come to a grand solution after one game, but I just thought physically they set the tone that they hadn't. It seems like in the first 2 games they couldn't even get to Colorado to finish checks.
Exactly,
and, we let them know in game 3, like, we're going to finish every single check tonight.
Okay, so how about this? You emphasize, and I love that you did it in terms of the early starts, right? Well, Gus gives up goals on his first 2 shots, game 2. The massive, and I think it was on Parker Kelly, and you hit it right last segment. Let's not act like Volstedt had to stand on his head for 50 saves.
Yeah.
However, first period,
big one.
You're vibing, you're scoring goals early, you're setting the tone. The crowd is just about to start pounding on the glass and getting real Rube-like at Grand Casino Arena.
We don't pound on the glass in Minnesota.
It was either Parker Kelly or Drury, I forget who it was.
Kelly, yeah.
That net was open by a mile. And then it was shut down. And that glove save by Volstedt, that was so huge in that moment, something I believe that we just were never going to get in Game 2.
The Wild were completely outplaying Colorado up until that point, and they looked like a different team. And you don't know if the goal is scored there, which, by the way, I don't know what Trenyon was doing on that one. Like, Bogosian, jumped up in the play, which never happens with Bogosian. He loses the puck. So, when you have a defenseman who's up in the play, a forward has to cover for him until that defenseman gets back. And Trenyon comes off the bench and immediately moves forward. And all of a sudden you should have had numbers, and it's that 2-on-1 turns into a 1-on-0 off of that pass. The Wild were playing well up until that point. I thought the crowd was into it. The crowd was believing in them. And let's face it, like sometimes that crowd can get a little bit of a Minnesota mentality, victim mentality when things start going wrong.
They get those arms crossed and it goes
if Colorado scores there, you don't know. All of a sudden, there's tension with the fans. We've also had some goaltending issues.
Yeah,
right?
really have.
Volstead gave up 8 in game 1. Gus gave up 4. 2 of them I didn't think were very good in game 2. Like just to not only give confidence to the fans, but give confidence to your team of, hey, guys, I got your back tonight. You make one mistake, I'm going to have your back. And, man, I love Volstead. I can't wait to have him as our goalie moving forward here.
All right.
I think, as I just said, Faber's a dog. I think Volstead's a dog.
Let me get in the weeds with this one, with your trained eye. What played into 5-on-5, obviously? Colorado became an east-west team as opposed to this north-south pedal-to-the-metal stuff we saw the first 2 games. So 5-on-5. They got north-south, and some of McKinnon's moves are still that of immortality, even if he doesn't close on them. Holy cow. To see him live, about the 4th time I've seen him, but just in tight quarters in the postseason, his moves are unbelievable. But the Wild, Heinze got him to play east-west. How do you do that?
It starts on the forecheck. I always coach my kids. Whenever you're giving up rushes and the other team has speed through the neutral zone, you tend to think, oh man, our defensemen are really struggling playing these guys 2-on-1s, 3-on-2s. It all starts in the offensive zone because if they have clean, especially in the first 2 games, I thought we were very leaky with our forecheck of not being in the right spot, and specifically that Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Hartman line, who were matched up against McKinnon's line quite a bit in the first 2 games. That's the matchups they wanted. What's great about Kaprizov and Zuccarello is they are so offensive-minded, but what could also happen is when you are that offensive-minded, then you forget to do things defensively, and that's not the line you want to do. Not being in the right spot, getting back on the back check defensively. So if you want to slow up guys like Nathan McKinnon, you have to do it in the offensive zone. Once he gets speed to the neutral zone, you're done.
Right.
I mean, that's not the time you can slow him down.
Right. I got it.
You got to slow him down before he gets up to that speed. And I just thought the Wild did a better job getting in on the forecheck, forcing turnovers, at least forcing wonky breakouts, where Colorado, for a good chunk of that first period, they were getting the puck and just flipping it out. They weren't making actual breakout passes. They were just flipping it out into the neutral zone, which is what Dallas was doing a lot.
All right, now, at Brandon Molesky via X, follow us so inclined, as 9 to noon does. A couple of quickies to close here for Tenna B. Along the boards with B, Box in the Box in St. Paul, Wild skate about 30 minutes from now. That NHL scorecard you retweeted was excellent. I didn't understand a lot of it, but points.
Nor do I.
Scoring chances, power play goals over league average stuff. Like who stuck out? I mean, you quote tweeted it with Big Knocker's going to knock, something like that. But like looking at that it's an NHL scorecard at Brandon Molesky on a retweet. Who stuck out?
Well, first of all, I don't understand what goes in any of those analytics myself. So I'm an eye test guy. I don't understand the analytics when it comes to hockey. I mentioned, hey, the Big Knockers were knocking, but frankly, tell me who on the Wild you thought had a bad game that day.
Right.
I don't think I could name one.
Right.
Right. I mean, early in the series, it was, man, Jake Middleton is awful. The pairing of him and Spurgeon together are so bad.
Well, they cut Midsy's minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and Damon Hunt. And I was a little worried about how Damon Hunt was going to be thrown into the mix.
Me too.
Because he's still young. He's still inexperienced. We haven't seen him in a top 4 role on your blue line. I don't think he's ever played with Spurgeon. So, other than just a couple moments there in game 2, especially on the penalty kill.
I thought he had some good moments.
He was great.
I was going to ask you about him.
And he's an elite skater, which is what you need to have, against Colorado. Now, we'll see if he can duplicate that and replicate that as the series goes along. But if we get that out of Damon Hunt, we got a shot in this series because, like I said, he can skate, and the Colorado Avalanche can skate, and he's going to have to play major minutes. But to my initial point, I don't think there was one Wild player where I could say they performed poorly in that game. Volstead was good. All of your star players are good. All of your role players, the Felinos were hitting. Trenyon was hitting. I thought Yurov has been solid here in this series. Tarasenko was making all the right plays.
McCarron was physical.
Up and down the lineup, every player played well.
Well, okay, conversely for the Lanch, See, I was in the stands. I was sitting next to Meat Sauce. Like that Parker Kelly thing you guys brought up with the open. I didn't even know that happened. It happened. It's when you're watching live, unless you're watching every replay and looking at every social media highlight clip. I had no idea that happened. That was a great point that you guys talked about and dissected. So therefore, when I ask, conversely for Colorado, who conspicuously, for those of you watching closely, had poor games? I kind of watch through the Wild lens quite a bit when I watch Wild hockey, so I'm not as in tune with breaking down every single, down the third line of Colorado. I know just from reading, I know what you mean.
I
know
from reading stuff, they, or the Bednar, the head coach, said, he goes, other than our McKinnon line, I didn't feel he said, I don't feel like anyone else could score.
I thought Malinsky was out to lunch a couple of times in the zone in front of where I was sitting, but he might have been Wayne Gretzky on the other side of the ice as much as I know.
I couldn't tell you who was on the ice for Colorado on the 4-on-4 goal by Kaprizov. I couldn't tell you exactly who. I'm assuming it was Makar and Taves and McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
But to let Kaprizov come right down Broadway there.
Yeah,
that's
crazy.
That's a major breakdown right there. And I was thinking coming in today, like 4-on-4 in the history of the Minnesota Wild. This used to happen all the time when they would play the Dallas Stars in the playoffs. Dallas would try to goad them into coincidental penalties because then they'd play 4-on-4 as opposed to 5-on-5. And
bastards.
We never had a shot against Dallas 4-on-4. This is the first time in the history of the Wild franchise where you're like, oh, you want to go 4-on-4? Great.
Yeah.
Hughes and Faber and Boldy and Kaprizov. Sure, go ahead. We can play with anybody in the and to have Makar and McKinnon on the other side and go, we're not worried about you 4-on-4. It's kind of mind-boggling to me.
What's the montage today?
You have to listen in at noon.
But you got a montage?
I can't reveal that information. Yeah, I got an idea for it.
Feels like Dido. Oh, that
won't be Dido.
That'd be after a loss.
We have positive highlights.
Yep. Feels like Don't Stop Believing by Journey.
You got to listen to noon. You got to listen live.
Yep, and that's
what you got to do.
That's the program. Where the program is on air, on demand, and on fire each and every weekday from noon to 3 with the interim and Common Man by his side. When we return, Minnesota Hockey Immortality Pat Micheletti joins 9 to noon. We are at Tria Rink for Box in the Box, Game 4 tonight. KFAN, Wild and Lanch on your home for the Minnesota Wild, FM 100.3 KFAN.
This is 9 to noon, live on iHeartRadio and KFAN, The Fan.